all, and welcome to our online professional women's networking forum. I see we have 28 of us joined. We have over 60 people that registered for the session. So some of them will be watching it online. I know whenever you have a free event, not everyone is able to join live. And so those of you that are going to watch the recording, welcome, enjoy, and next time join live because you're going to miss out on the great networking part, which is a very important part of the session as well. So my name is Lesley Kaplan. I've been running online networking sessions and networking forums since COVID and before COVID. For about 10 years before that, I've been doing that as well as part of my Build and Brand Your Business for Clients, where I assist business owners in building their business and branding via strategy as well as promotional products to get their message out. I'm delighted to have our guest, who I'll introduce in a moment, Danielle. And I would like to thank too, this session is sponsored via ACI and a generous gift from the Reinhardt Foundation. So thank you very much to ACI. And of course, ACI does some amazing projects. So if you're not yet familiar with them, then you're welcome to check them out. So this session runs for 90 minutes. Danielle will speak, and then afterwards, as is customary, we have our networking via the breakout rooms, as well as a discussion, which we'll talk about in a moment. So if you can, try stay with us until the very end. In the meantime, we have the chat where you can, as I mentioned before, while you were joining, where you can, and it's advisable to write down all your details, your social media links, what you do. You can even put your phone number, who you'd like to connect with, what type of clients. And in the breakout rooms, you're going to get the chance to do that even more. So I invite you to sit back, have lots of energy, write your questions in the chat in the meantime, if you have for Danielle, as opposed to, and keep yourself please on mute. If you're not yet muted, please just mute yourself so there's no background noise. And throughout, Danielle will also look at the chat. I'll be looking at the chat, so we'll be here to answer any questions. All right, Danielle, thank you so much for being our speaker today. I'm going to, spotlight you as well, that everyone will be able to see you. Yeah. Danielle, I'll let you do your full introduction. You're very much well known in a lot of these circles as well. For anyone that doesn't know Danielle, she assists clients with copy, with strategy. She's amazing. She has lots of great ideas. And Danielle, take it away. I'm going to put the floor over to you. Give yourself the full elevator pitch as well.
Thank you all for having me. I'm used to doing my teaching and presentations in the evening because I work with a lot of clients in the US. This is early for me, but it's so good to see everybody. Thank you all for being here, taking the time. Thank you, Lesley, for hosting me and this wonderful group. And today we are here to talk about email. Let me share my screen. I am screen sharing. Awesome. We're here to talk about email, specifically inbox love, how to master email marketing and write emails your audience loves to read, click, and buy from. Just as a show of mechanical or real hands, who would like to be able to do that? Awesome. That's why we're all here. There will be points during our conversation where you will want to write things down. Make sure you have somewhere to write them and capture those ideas. First, let me just introduce a little bit about myself. Hi, I'm Danielle Weil. I know some of you from IWEN events, from just being in the community, but I am in my day job, a copy and launch strategist, a copywriter. I've been a copywriter for 17 years. I have written probably over $100 million worth of sales copy for clients, 7-figure launches again and again and again. It's a lot of words. But before I wrote all those launches, I actually got my start writing emails, lots and lots of emails. A little bit more about me. I grew up in Florida, but I now live in Israel. I studied creative writing at NYU, my husband. I've been writing copy for 17 years. I have 4 kids, a dog, and a super husband. And my mission is helping business owners see more success and feel more confident in their message, marketing, and strategy. And here's just a little bit about what that looks like. Some of the wins that I have had for clients who are running launches, running businesses that grow through helping people through their expertise. And my real mission is helping all business owners have compelling copy that converts, no matter who's writing it, whether that's you, whether that's someone else. I get the feeling that in this room, it's generally you doing the writing for your own business. Let me know in the chat if that is the case. Say, yes, it's me. I'm the copywriter for my business. And also let me know in the chat, I'm curious, who is currently using email marketing as a channel in your business? Say, yes, email in the chat. Yes, awesome. Okay. So we have some people who are getting started, some not enough. Yes, 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 just beginning. Okay. Awesome. Let me open this up so I can see more chats happen. Okay, so we're either yes, using email, potentially not enough as much as we would like to be, as regularly as we would like, or just getting started. And I'm also curious as we go in and dive in, I'm curious, what is the struggle when it comes to email? Specifically for you, what is the number one thing that you struggle with when it comes to nurturing, sending emails to your list, marketing to your email list? And we'll talk about why it's so important in a second. Growing the list, technical piece, don't know what to write, takes time to set up a system. Okay, getting people to engage, preparing content, what to write, getting people's attention. Okay. Awesome. And thank you everyone for participating in the chat. Seems repetitive. Interesting. Okay. We can talk about that too. If it's not valuable enough to unsubscribe, and that prevents me from trying to send them the actual value. Okay. Interesting. When to write. Awesome. McGilla style. Let's talk about what that means. How to stand out. Awesome. So I hope everyone's following the chat here and finding things that resonate, because this is true for almost every business owner that I talk to, most of these things. Let's talk a second about why it actually is so important to nurture your list. This is real estate that you own, right? If you are posting on social, if you are posting on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you do not own that platform. They can come around and shut it down and lock you out and take it away. And then the audience that you have built is no longer there. Poof, gone. You want to build your audience. You want to build your customer base on land that you own, let's say. And that best channel to do that is actually email. Your list is actually a valuable asset in your business, right? There are marketers that say the money is in the list. It's true. So that list back in the olden days of marketing used to be a list of names that people would send letters in the mail to. They used to be physical addresses. Now they're email addresses, and they are just as valuable. Getting into your ideal customer's inbox is more intimate and long-lived than appearing on their Facebook or Twitter feed. What is the average reach of an Instagram post these days? Anybody know? Not very long. It's something like 2 days, right? You post content, phew, it goes away. Some people see it, some people don't. 5 seconds, something like that, right? Your email has a better reach, 78% average inbox delivery rate than a Facebook post or a tweet or an Instagram post. You can continually use your email list as a source of revenue to offer different products and services, other people's offers, if you so choose. Email marketing has a higher conversion rate than other mediums. And the cool thing about email is that you can personalize and segment your audience to actually give them what you really want. And if there's a desire, we can talk about simple ways to do that later. So we talked about what makes it such a struggle, getting a weekly-ish email out of my fingers and onto the page without the torment that is causing my soul. These are real quotes that clients have told me, right? And it's hard to be the first to strike up a conversation. I need a personal story, but I'm not sure how to tie that story to what I'm doing. So if this is resonating with anybody, just say, give me a why in the chat, like, yes, yes, yes. I hard to find it to apply and come up with interesting stories, overthinking, finding something to write about, feeling like I'm salesy, calls to action and subject lines, taking the time to write regularly, actually sitting down to write them. Again, this is what we have all been posting and saying in the chat. The struggle is real and you are not alone in this, right? So let's talk about why. Why is it such a struggle? And why are you not shifting to the next slide? Great. Well, the missing ingredient is love. I know, it sounds a little cheesy, sorry. But if something is a chore, it's always going to feel hard. It's going to feel like a struggle. And if you love it, if it's fun, there's a greater chance you'll make it happen, right? So how do you fall in love with writing emails, especially if you're not a writer? And how do you get people to fall in love with your emails? And this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about ways to do that, right? One of the big myths about creativity is that it requires space. So one of the, we tend to picture like the writer up in the attic getting inspired, frantically banging typewriters and scribbling pages. And we're like, oh, yes, the masterpiece, right? But writing in real life is a lot more boring. Being creative doesn't actually require more time and space. It actually requires the opposite. Headspace and time space. Not true. And this is what I talk about, the power of constraints. So let's say you're an artist, you have a blank canvas. That blank canvas, that blank page is probably, in many cases, your worst enemy because the choice is overwhelming. When you put constraints on what you are creating, it actually allows you to open up your creativity even more. Think about a time when you just had to get something done. Think about like a standardized test when you have 30 minutes to complete the thing and somehow you get it done, right? Think about times in your life where you have had a time constraint and somehow you've made it happen. Why? Because there's power in those constraints. And I want to introduce a concept that lets us take that power of constraint and leverage it in email marketing, right? Shabbat every week, exactly. It all has to get done, no matter what. Like sunset's coming, it's got to get done. So that power actually enables us to do things that we might not otherwise do. And I'd like to introduce this concept of the 3 constraints that we can give ourselves as a gift to create more freedom, create this ability to make writing emails fun. And when they're fun for you, your audience will feel that. They'll know that. They will resonate with that. And so let's talk about the first one. The first one is time. Whether that's finding time in the first place because you're busy and you've got kids and a family or a full-time job or other things for your business that you're doing, finding the time that feels right to sit down and write is not easy. All right, so let's talk about how to write an email in 20 minutes. Possible? Yes. Believe it or not, it is, because this is what I teach my clients how to do. Set a timer for 20 minutes, eliminate all other distractions. And I've actually done this in workshops live. I've given them, all right, we're doing this 20 minutes. We set the timer, we go. I don't think we have the time to do it today. And the emails that come out are incredible. Don't let the ticking clock intimidate you. It's there to help you focus and make the most of every minute. Give yourself 2 minutes to think and then just put pen to paper and start writing. Really, 20 minutes, that is it. And in the beginning, it might feel like, oh, okay, I haven't gotten what I wanted to say. That is okay. Perfection is the enemy here. The blank page is the enemy. We just want to get something going. And do you have 20 minutes that you could carve out of your day to write email? Probably, if it was a priority, right? 20 minutes, 30, that is writing time. We set the timer and we go. And sometimes at this stage, pen and paper tends to work better than writing on a computer. That's the first constraint. We put a limit on the time that we're going to take to do this task, because otherwise it gets overwhelming. It's like, I have to do this. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. You know, it's going to take 20 minutes. Whatever's done is done at the end of that, and it gets sent to your list. A little scary in the beginning, but once you do it, it actually opens up more time and space. The second piece of this constraint is, what do I write about? Right? This was a big struggle, a big question. Should I tell stories? What stories? Will people care what I have to say? What should I even talk about? How much content? Am I over delivering? Knowing what to write about can be a huge challenge. If you find it hard to come up with interesting stories to tell in email, you know, everyone says, oh yeah, tell stories, like have a conversation, open up that conversation with people. Okay. We add a subject constraint. Now, why is there an avocado on this slide? Anybody want to know? I will tell you. The workshop that I did a couple of years ago, there was about 40 business owners in a room, and I'm talking about this exact same topic. Why is it so hard to get an email out of your brain and onto the page? And I actually did a little fun exercise with them. I had prepared the night before a little baggie, little Ziploc bag with little slips of paper in it. Each little slip of paper had a different random word. Avocados, deep sea diving, share, the Beatles, whatever. There were about, you know, again, 40, everybody got a different word, and that was their topic to write an email about. You had to write an email about avocados and tie it to your business. You have 20 minutes, go. You would not believe the emails that came out of this workshop. The constraints of the time and topic unlocked so much creativity, because we get in these patterns of thinking, right? We're like, okay, we have to write it. It has to sound like this. You know, we have to do it this way. And having a different topic, having something that's a little bit different and out of the blue, just gives us new ways to think about it. So choose a subject, any subject, the wackier the better. I have done this just by opening a book and pointing to a random word. There is actually a random word generator online that you can Google that will give you 5 random words. If any of those pops at you, you can use ChatGPT for this actually now. It was not available when I taught this workshop the last time, but topics. Ooh, I think I can take that and do something with it. Interesting. Writing about a subject completely unrelated to your business, although it sounds weird and counterintuitive, acts as a pattern interrupt for your audience so that it actually gets their attention, right? Everybody, when they saw the avocado, was like, ooh, why is there an avocado there? It creates curiosity. You want to know, why is there an avocado there? Maybe you don't, but your people will want to know when you are telling them stories that don't necessarily relate to your business. Once you have their attention, you draw them in with a story. It looks like a pear. Interesting. So this should now be part of your writing repertoire, your writing toolbox. Let's talk about the third constraint, what to put where. So we know it's 20 minutes. That doesn't include editing time. That is just writing, to answer the question that came up in the chat. We don't want to, writing and editing are 2 different functions, and we don't want to mix them. So if you are writing, write. Do not censor yourself as you go. Just want to keep writing. If you get stuck, keep going to something that does feel like you can continue on. Edit later. You can always edit later. You want to get the flow of ideas, the flow of creativity out. You don't want to stop and edit. Okay, so we have the time constraint, we have the topic constraint, and there are other ways to get ideas for what to put in your emails, right? But these fun pattern interrupt stories, I think people tend to have a lot of fun with. It's like, hey, how can I make this new connection? Now we're going to talk about the third constraint, which is the template. What is the framework that I put it into so I know what to write when? What goes in what order? How long should it be? How do I hook people in? How do I link the story to the call to action? And what about subject lines? We're going to talk about all of that. This is something that I like to teach my students to do before they even start writing. It's called the GTF formula. It is not GTFO. It stands for goal, takeaway, and feeling. This is a way to organize before you even start writing, to get really clear on what you want to say and actually be able to check your work after you finish writing to know that you've kind of done what you wanted to do with those emails. CTA, for that person who asked, is a call to action. So that is when you're asking someone to take an action at the end of your email, whether it is reach out to you, book a call, sign up for a thing, click here to read my blog, go see my website, right? That's the action. We always want someone to take an action at the end of our emails. Always. Even if it is just hit reply and let me know something, there always needs to be something for them to do, right? Otherwise, why are you sending the email? We always want to train our audience that there's a next step. So let's talk about GTF. G stands for goal. And you can write this in your doc or on your paper before you write the email. I just put it right at the top before I even start writing. What is the goal? What do we want people to do? What is the call to action? Is it an invite to a webinar? Is it welcome to my program? Is it, hey, go get this free resource that I created? Or is it, hey, I have this new event that I'm putting on? Whatever that is, goal of the email should be front and center. Next piece here is T, the takeaway. So what is the takeaway that is going to get them to take that action? What is the realization, the moment, the lesson, the, ooh, okay, that's going to get them to go do the thing or want to learn more? That's what we call the value of the email, essentially. And then F is feeling. And this is the part that people don't tend to think about, but it's how do we want people to feel when they read your email? Because buying happens by emotion and is justified by logic, right? We all feel something, therefore we buy. And tuning into those feelings and being deliberate about how we want someone to feel as they're reading is really important. And then we can go back and we can read once we've written, be like, hey, you know, as I read this, do I feel that feeling of FOMO that I want somebody to have? And it can be multiple emotions. It can be, you know, FOMO, it can be motivation, it can be, you know, excitement. It can be even, you know, dealing with the sadness and like, ooh, okay, you know, calling out those feelings and being intentional about the emotional journey you want someone to take before you even start writing is actually going to help you know where you're going in that email. So this is what happens before we start writing. Now, actually, I'm going to pause. Everybody good with this? Just give me like a Y or a thumbs up or a something in the chat so I know that we are all on the same page. Yep, everybody's good. Okay, sounds good in theory. Beautiful. And there's a question here that I want to address later. So Lesley, maybe you can, Lisa's question, just remind me.
Sure,
Perfect.
No problem, we'll do so.
Okay. All right, this is, and so you can actually use this, just a quick little spreadsheet to actually plan out the content of your emails. If you're sending one email a week, you can have a quick, easy little spreadsheet that lays out what's happening in your content calendar for the next couple of weeks. Or if you're doing a launch sequence, you can have each email to know kind of, am I doing what I need to do? with them? Am I getting the right mix? Are the goals clear? Are the takeaways going to be impactful and powerful and move people to action? And are the feelings going to support all of that? Good questions here from Lisa. How many emails do you suggest per month? It depends. We'll hold and we'll do questions and dig into everybody's personal situations in a little bit. All right, first, let's talk about the only email template you will ever need. Okay, it's got 5 parts to it. No, it's good. It's good that you get the questions out now so that we know that, like, as they pop up, they're happening. We'll hold them all and we'll deal with questions at the end because there might be some that we can answer together. So let's actually start from the end here. Just like I ask people to write headlines and subject lines last because it's easier, you're actually going to start with the end. You're going to reverse engineer and think, okay, where are we going with this? Because we have to know where we're going in order to build the bridge to get there. So if we know the goal of our email is this, call to action, you are always going to have a call to action in your email so your list gets trained to click. Okay, make sure that it stands out visually. It can either be a button in your template or bold or a different color, something that is going to make it stand out. I like to put it on an entirely separate line as opposed to being part of the paragraph. And I like to leave space so that people know, okay, this is where you click. And it seems like, oh no, people can figure it out, right? No, we're busy. We need to know exactly where to click, and it's got to be like big and, you know, popping out at us for us to know. And that might be the first thing that you decide on. If you're like, I need to write an email and I want to send people to my new freebie guide that I've created. Okay, great. We know where we're going. We know that CTA has to be, go download my new free guide. Don't try to get cute about your calls to action. Say what they're going to do. Like, tell them exactly what to do in that call to action. Go do this. Click here to do this. Okay? People, like, we're smart, but when it comes to email marketing, when it comes to life in general, we are busy. We like to just know exactly what to do, and that will increase conversions when you're being really, really simple. Include like a max of 2 CTAs in your email for the same action, depending on the awareness of your readers and what promoting. Now, these days, because attention spans are shorter, because open for a lot of reasons, you want to have a call to action a bit higher in your email, as opposed to just having one at the end. So you're going to want to put one like midway through and have a place. Use button words like get started now, I'm in. Again, tell them exactly what to do. Oh, so there's questions here that are relevant that I will answer. Only important to include one single call to action in the email. If a call to action to read X and another to buy Y. So there, to Jordan's question, there's like a split opinion on when it comes to where you're sending people in your emails. If you have a newsletter style where you want to send them to 2 different things, that is okay, as long as you're really clear about where you're sending them and you're okay with them going to both places, right? If we're like, okay, my goal, my priority is to get them to do this, and it's really important to me that they do this, then you might want to make that the focus of your email. If you're doing kind of a roundup post where you have a bunch of content that you want people to go and consume, and you want to see what interests people the most, that could be a situation where you have multiple links. I've done that where I've got a couple of different Instagram posts and I want to see which topic is resonating most with people. I'll do a roundup email that has a bunch of different, you know, click here to watch this, click here to watch this, click here to watch this. I'll see who clicks the most, which gets the most clicks, and I'll sort of know from there which content is kind of resonating the most. Mature adult population different than the younger group in email usage. Potentially, and probably, but I think to Ellie's question, the principles are the same. You still want to have your CTAs big and bold and visible, your emails as long as they need to be to get the job done, You can vary length. Some are longer, some are shorter, right? To again, create those pattern interrupts. And you might want to make your font size a little bit bigger, but that's just, again, in general, because we're distracted. Question. Emails with no CTA. Informative, like what to do with your hands when speaking. Yes. So to Helen's question, value emails, 100%. Send them, but always include a CTA. And the reason for that is you want to train your audience to click so that when you are sending them sales emails, they're actually looking subconsciously for where they click. So even if it's just hit reply and let me know what you thought about this tip, or even if it is like, here, go watch the video that I did on this topic, you're giving them a chance to go deeper. There's always a place to click. Does that make sense? Got it. Okay. That response rates for my emails, no CTA. What do you mean response rate when there's no CTA? Just unmute for 1 second, because I think this is important.
I really feel like you've answered, given my question, more than enough time. I think.
Okay, great.
Your response was outstanding, and you like train the audience. Amazing.
Okay, perfect. Well, you just want to be clear on what response rate actually means. Are you looking at, because if you're looking at open rates, it's not an accurate metric right now. Because of iOS updates and the privacy things, you're not going to get a clear read of actually who is opening your emails. So the metric that you want to focus on is clicks. And if you don't have a place to click in the email, you're not actually going to get accurate metrics for your emails. So that's why I wanted to take a second and dwell on that idea of response rates, because the metric that you're looking at is clicks. Always have a place to click. Right? Perfect. More questions we'll hold for the end. And let's talk about the next piece here, because if where we're going is the CTA, this is the T from the GTF formula. So if you've thought about this T, we're going to put it here. This is where it goes. This is what leads your readers to the CTA. It makes them feel like your emails are worth opening and reading. It'll be a flash of insight, a reminder of something useful, a quick lesson or tip, a thing that they did not know that now they know. They're like, ooh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay. That's the reaction we're going for. So you all are incredibly knowledgeable about what you do, what you sell. If it is expertise, then that ooh moment is what we're going for. And I think we tend to overlook the things that we teach that create those ooh moments for people. So I invite you to take a step back, ask your audience, ask someone else, rethink what of what you teach may be really valuable if you frame it a different way. So what are people going to take away from this email? That's your T. The next piece that leads to that takeaway is your story. It keeps people reading, it sets the emotional frame, creates curiosity. It might highlight a problem your offer will solve or a feature. This is where we're delivering value. And it doesn't necessarily have to be story in terms of this happened, then this happened, then this happened. It is a content value piece that is meant to be engaging, right? So if we're writing about avocados, and that's our topic, it's going to be an avocado story. That time when I made avocado chocolate pudding for my husband, and he thought it was delicious until I told him it was avocado, and then he refused to eat it. What's the lesson? What's the takeaway? How can I connect that to marketing? How can I connect that to coaching? How can I connect that to public speaking? How can I give someone a takeaway from that story that'll be really fun, or like, ooh, I didn't think about it that way. See how this is starting to come together? How the topics come to the takeaways. The takeaway goes, ooh, okay, what do I do next? You learn more about this thing. You actually get the tips. You actually go read the blog post. You sign up for the free thing. You sign up to work with me. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, avocado chocolate pudding. It was delicious. The avocados actually have to be perfectly ripe for it to work. If they're a little bit over or a little bit under, it'll either be chunky or like, we don't always need to tell people the secret ingredients. That is a great takeaway. Chaya, who put that in there, amazing. That's where I would go with that. And you could take that to a lot of different places. So you don't have to tell the whole story, right? Choose which part of the story serves your purpose to get your audience where you want them to go. You can change the narrative. Prune brownies, avocado, hidden treasure. Yes, I'm loving the avocado chat in the chat. If you can't think about a personal story you want to share, they don't always have to be personal stories. That's the other thing. It can be something that happened to a client of yours. Oh, my client, we were chatting and she brought this up. It can be a story that happened to someone else. It can be, I have written emails about wacky events in history. So I once wrote an email series. Anyone know what the Boston molasses flood was? Yeah, I'm getting a yes. Wow. Okay. From Boston? There we go. That's why. Okay. Right? I once wrote an email series all about the Boston molasses flood. You can Google it later if you don't know. Very, very interesting story. But that got people's attention. Knee deep in molasses. I want to know that story. I want to read that story. And the lesson at the end was, don't work with somebody if they can't read a blueprint. And you'll see why when you read the story. But just giving you options to play, to have fun, to be creative and curious about topics for your emails, to get people's attention, to have fun with the stories. And then the magic is in the takeaway. The magic is in that transition. The magic is what you do with the story, how you make it meaningful for what you do and who you're talking to. And so that brings us to the beginning here. And we've actually worked our way backwards. We're right here at the hook. The function of this first line of your email is to get people to read the next line. That's it. So you've got, if the first 3 seconds of a commercial or a show or a whatever are the most important, the first line of your email is that prime real estate. And I see a lot of people saying, hey, I've been really, and that's great. A lot of that when we write, that's natural that it happens, that you sort of start the email in a little bit of a conversational way. It's a little bit throat clearing because we don't know how to start it. Generally, you write and then you're like, is this actually the most powerful way I can start my email? So sometimes if you're telling a story, what you can do is take the middle of the height of the dramatic action and start your email with that. Like the hook in journalism, exactly. Like, what is the lead here? What do we want to start with? My husband tasted the avocado chocolate pudding and said, this is delicious. We could start it that way. Drop someone right in the middle of the action in that first line, and then you can go back and give them the backstory. Right? So there's there are a lot of similarities here to journalism, same elements of a media pitch, right? Because it's based on the same thing, human buyer psychology, like what interests us, what will grab our attention, using and leveraging these same techniques. I think we forget sometimes that they're available to us in email, or we kind of get in our like, okay, I've got to write something, let me write something. And just spending a couple extra minutes to be creative, to start, think about, okay, what actually is the most powerful way to start this is really impactful. The last piece here is the subject line, and it's actually the thing that you write last. I also write subject lines last, even if I'm doing whole long email sequences for people. I'll write the email and then I'll write the subject lines. Why? I don't want to guess. It's a whole lot easier to know what the subject line should be once you've written the email. Yes, perfect. Now, the thing to remember here is that most of your contacts their inboxes are packed. They're getting new emails every 5 seconds, whatever it is. And your subject lines, we know, need to stand out and grab attention. It's actually the most important part of your email because nothing else happens if it doesn't get opened. And it's a bit ironic because the tracking these days on open rates is a little opaque. So we can't actually measure now as much as we used to be able to the impact of subject lines on our marketing. But the subject line, so yeah, okay. So actually let's dive into an example. Subject line, just to see how this is broken down. Subject line, don't tell stories in your copy. If you're not utilizing the preview line in your emails, I suggest you do. It gives you a little bit more real estate versus starting, hey, so-and-so. It just gives you like an extension of that subject line. Right? Helen says, I always have to go back and edit it. No, just write it last. Like just leave them blank. There you go. So this is actually not, this is not the best email that I've ever written, but it does break down clearly what the pieces are. Probably heard talk about how important storytelling is to sales. This is the story bit. It's not very long, actually. It's just a couple of lines, but it moves us to the takeaway. What matters is your narrative. Call to action is, I talk about the difference in this short video, go here to watch. So this is an example of a really short email, very focused to get someone to go consume a piece of content. That's the other shortcut, is if you do not have a topic, for your, like a whole long thing to write in your email, you just want to send people to a piece of content you've already created, a blog, a video, a post, whatever, go ahead and do that. Have full permission, right? But the important thing is to get something out to your list. So if the easy thing for you is to be like, hey, here's 5 things that I posted this week, boom, 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 do that. Where do you put the preview line? If you are using an email service provider like Mailchimp, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, whatever, there should be a place as you're setting up that email to put a preview line in. Okay, very beginning, right. If you're using Gmail, you're not going to be able to do that. It will be if you're using an email service provider to manage and send those emails for you. Could you write to your friends with an update? Yes, you can, Rachel. That would be actually a really, really great place to start. Beautiful. Here's another example. Do you have a launch container in your business? No, it's not the Tupperware moldy sandwiches from back in February. Great example of using a preview line to give you more subject line real estate and curiosity. Okay, so we talk about the behind the scenes of launches. Here's the story. It's not actually a story. I'm just talking about what happens behind the scenes during a launch. And then here's the takeaway. Imagine how it would feel if you had all these things. Here's the call to action. Here's what we're doing. Get all the details and enroll today. See how clear, it's underlined, it's bold, we see it. Let's have some more conversation about subject lines, because I know this is kind of a black box for people. It's hard to zhuzh them up. It's hard to be creative with them because they're so short. So the magic formula is curiosity plus benefit plus real person. So you want to have this, yes, you want to spark curiosity. You want to somehow get a benefit in there. And the other element is, yes, this email is coming from a real person. So it doesn't feel too markety, too salesy, too like, the best email subject lines are the ones that are just like, hey, so-and-so, believe it or not, because that's what tends to grab our attention, right? So words that's, I've actually found throughout testing in my career that words that have heightened emotional meaning to them will get a better response. So basically the entire cast of Inside Out, anger, fear, disgust, sadness, joy. I hated this thing. Ew, I was, because again, they're dramatic human emotions and that's what gets our attention. So just remember these guys when you're writing subject lines and see if you can get some of those emotionally charged words into those subject lines. One more tip is open a loop, right? So if you don't know what open loops are, it is that cliffhanger moment that happens in a TV show when you want to know what's next. Our brain needs to close them. We have this this need to close them. And so if you said the one thing that transformed it for me, well, you want to know what that one thing is. Anytime you can create that curiosity, that open loop that then delivers the answer in your email, that's the pattern that we want to create. Right? So the subject line opens the loop, the email closes it. More subject line tips, including my favorites. dwcopy.com/subject lines. That is where you go get them. You will also get on my email list where you get to read about my husband's avocado pudding and various other adventures. And we'll make sure that goes in the chat, yes, and afterwards so people can go and get that resource. I've got more. We might actually save it for after the breakout rooms and take some time to do questions, yes?
Right. Danielle, I just want to read out a couple of questions. If you want to just take down your screen share for a moment.
Yep.
Okay. I do want to just read out a couple of questions that were asked that I think are important. And then before, stay with us, ladies, also for the breakout rooms. This is your chance to connect directly with people and have a great announcement to make beforehand as well. The couple of questions that I wanted to ask, firstly, you asked me to remind you about Lisa. She mentioned about the feelings. So you did put the slide up about feelings, anger, sadness, whatever. Do you want to just respond to that as well? Like what kind of feeling you want people to get? That's one of the things. And then were some other questions as well.
Yes.
That are important.
So examples of feelings you want people to have in your emails, right? Fear of missing out. So if something is happening, we want to create desire for the thing that you are promoting or moving towards, or the ideal dream situation that people have on the other side of their problems. We want to actually clarify and articulate the problem for them. So again, using these dramatic, that's the most I've ever heard the words avocado pudding. Well, you heard it here first. So the most dramatic language, strong emotional words create strong emotional connections, as long as it's real, as long as it's authentic, as long as it's what's actually happening, right? Okay.
Right, great. Okay, a couple of other things that were written that are really important. Let's talk a little bit about the click to open rate. Like, what are the numbers that we should be looking at? Like Elisheva wrote something about her numbers, and from what I understand, those are pretty good rates.
Okay, what did she say the rates were?
Elisheva, let's just see. I think was it 70 something and 50 something. Let me just try to find it in the chat. What do you consider like a good open rate and a good click rate? And
okay, so we said
aiming for?
We said that open rates are kind of a myth now. They're inflated because of the iOS changes, and they can't actually tell or report who's opening emails. The factors that go into thinking about what a good open rate is: the size of your list, how clean your list is, meaning how often do you remove email addresses that have bounced or unengaged or have not opened an email in a very long time. So if you go through and remove those, like that's going to impact your open rates as well. So 70 is is a very high number. So my assumption from that would be that there's a small list and that they're very engaged, and that they're pretty recent.
Right.
The bigger your list gets, the smaller your open rates are going to be. That's just a function of how it goes, right? In terms of clicks, you want to look at clicks in two ways. One, as a percentage of your entire list, and this is going to become more and more important, again, because open rates are kind of this illusion now. It used to be you looked at opens as a percentage of, at clicks as a percentage of opens. And now the better metric is going to be clicks as a percentage of your entire list. Now, in terms of best practice, I can't tell you. Everybody's list is going to be different. And things are going to vary based on what you're sending to, whether it's free, right? Like there's just so much variation there. My best recommendation to you is to start a really simple Google Sheet or Excel or whatever, where you plug in the date, the email sent, and your metrics, your opens, your clicks, your unsubscribes. Because over time, you'll start to see the patterns. Right? The value is not in one data point. The value is in having data over time. Recommend removing people who never open emails to clean the list. I would recommend about once a year doing a list clean. If somebody has never opened anything, I would remove them from your active sent list. You can keep them in your database, but I would not actively send to them, and that will help your deliverability and improve your metrics.
Great, thank you. How often should we be sending out emails? And what about if we have Israeli clients and English clients? These are two questions that were asked as well. Should we be sending out, if we work with Israelis, a separate list in English, in Hebrew, and one in English? How do you suggest working with that?
What I would do in that case where you have different languages is that is where the power of segmentation and tagging comes into play. If you're using an email service provider, you can add tags to individual contacts based on actions that they've taken within your system or whatever. If you know that someone's a Hebrew speaker, you can tag them Hebrew speaker. You can tag them English speaker. You can send an email saying, hey, I just want to know, Shelby Vlitzvuksha, send me emails in English. And then whoever clicks gets tagged to that list so that you're actually segmenting. And then you have the Hebrew one goes out to the Hebrew list, the English one goes out to the email list, the English list. Right, so segmentation is going to make sure that the people who need those specific emails get them.
Right, and how often should we be sending out? Once a month, once a week, twice a month?
Depends on your business and depends on how often people are used to hearing from you. So I would say the minimum is once a week.
Minimum once a week, and of course consistency. The name of the game is consistency.
Consistency. If you can't commit to mailing once a week, commit to once every 2 weeks, right? Until you can get to a point where a weekly email just becomes your norm, your routine. If you are going into a promotion, you'll want to warm up the list a little bit more and potentially start sending 2 a week for the period before your launch and your promotion so that you can start moving up to, all right, I'm gonna mail you every day because my program is open. Right, you can't just go from once every 2 weeks to here we go every day. People will check out. So you want to gradually build them up top, but I would say the minimum that I would recommend is once a week.
Great. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Danielle. Ladies, if you have more questions, write them in the chat as well, and we will have time to answer them afterwards too. So I have a very important announcement before we go into the breakout rooms. So I'd like you to take your calendar and write the date, save the date. We've been working on this for months, and you are the first lot of people that are going to be seeing this now. Save the date. We are planning our second Jerusalem Business Conference. Who is we? I'm working in conjunction with ACI and in coordination with Nefesh B'Nefesh. Save the date, the second Jerusalem Business Conference is open to women and men, Tuesday, September the 5th, 2023. Yes, in a couple of months. It's at the Nefesh B'Nefesh campus in Jerusalem. It's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And yes, somebody asked me, will there be food? Yes, there'll be food. There'll be snacks. It includes lunch as well. There'll be roundtable networking. It's going to be an awesome event. There'll be different, like we have our breakout rooms here. There'll be different rooms for workshops. There will be an area for you to meet with your clients. So if you want to arrange to meet a client there, you can do so as well. It's going to be an awesome event. This is one date you don't want to miss. September the 5th, Tuesday, September the 5th. We do already have speakers lined up. We do have space for additional speakers that we're going to be contacting now. So if you would like to potentially be a speaker, please message me, not here, message me separately via my WhatsApp, via my email. You have my email address. And we're going to be having booths too. So if you would like to take a booth yourself, or if you know somebody that would like to manage a booth or that it will be suitable for them, then feel free to tell them about it as well. Today, we're going to be mentioning it. Registration is not yet open Today, we just sent a save the date. Registration will be opening within a couple of days. So in the meantime, make sure that you've saved your date. All right, so what we're going to be doing now, and I'm actually just going to be pausing the recording in a moment. We're going to be opening out the breakout rooms. I remind you that I do not record the breakout rooms, so please feel free to totally share whatever you want to and to stay with us for that. And for afterwards, we go through till 11 a.m. What do we do in the breakout room? So firstly, you're going to be doing your elevator pitch in terms of introducing who you are, what you do. Secondly, and Danielle, I'll give you space to add if you want to add anything here. We've already discussed this. Talk about the topic, anything to do with email marketing, your challenges. Are you doing it? You're not doing it? How often are you doing it? Speak about your challenges, maybe the different platforms that you're using. Anything connected to your email marketing, we're going to discuss in the breakout rooms. Our rooms will go through for about 20 minutes, about 18 to 20 minutes, and then we're going to come back into the main forum. I ask you, please, also when we get into the groups, to the rooms, to please unmute yourself so that obviously you can talk. And of course, to be on camera. You don't want to be with just your photo image. We want to see you. We want to feel you. We want to talk to you. Danielle, do you want to add anything about the breakout rooms, about the topic?
Yeah. Yes, and specifically speaking to Alana's question about once a week sounds really high. I can't imagine people want to hear from me that often. I would love to reframe that, right? Because you are running a business, you're a business owner. Email is your channel. That's how people hear from you. The more your emails are fun, engaging, valuable, they go, ooh, I'm going to learn something from Alana's email. I'm going to get something from Alana's email. Oh, they're really fun to read. She always tells great stories. They will not notice. The other thing about mailing once a week is that and not everyone is going to see and open every email. So we tend to feel we're bothering people. I don't care. Mail them once a week. So what I want you to talk about potentially in the breakout rooms is what are one or two maybe fun topics or stories or ways that you can change what you're doing with email right now, whether it's getting started or what you're currently doing.
Okay, excellent, great. So ladies, we set it up randomly with the breakout rooms. So in each room, there's 4 to 5 women. Please make sure that you join the room, that you stay active. And if we see that there are any problems, then obviously we'll, move someone to a different room if people aren't connecting. But be active now, this is your time. I will send a message as well when we're going to be ending, and Danielle and I will be hopping into the different rooms. Danielle, you're allocated to one room initially, and I'll be hopping in as well, and we'll see how it goes. So open up your cameras, open up your mics, and go for it. Make sure you stick according to the topic. First, introduce yourselves. If one person in each room can please just be in charge to make sure that everyone is getting the opportunity to talk, and that it's not just being monopolized by one person. And of course, start off with your elevator pitch, as I mentioned, and I am now pausing. Great, ladies, we're back from the breakout room. So for those of you that are watching the recording, you missed out on that, but I hope to see you next time live. All right, let's just wait for everybody else to come back. Could be that some people give 60 seconds, so we'll just wait. Some of you opted out beforehand. Excellent, ladies. So I'm not sure if everyone's back or if some people actually logged out before the end. I think there are, because Danielle is not back here. So let's just wait another couple of seconds. Right, amazing. I know I say this every time, but I always love it when we all come back into the main room and it's like magic. Suddenly the screen is filling up with all of you again. So I hope that you had a very productive breakout room, certainly the rooms that I popped into, and I popped into all of you, some more than once. There were good discussions going on, and I assume that you got good value from that. Danielle, where are you? I can't see you on my screen. Oh, here you are.
I'm here.
You've moved to the right-hand side. Okay, great. All right. So before I hand over to Danielle, just to end off, I just want to share this once again and say that I look forward to seeing you, and I'll see you before as well, but I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday, September the 5th For those of you that are out of Jerusalem, it's close to the straight train station, just a couple of minute walk. So I do hope that you'll be joining us. Save the date, and we will be having an early bird discount as well. So pay attention to the emails that I do send you and anything you see on social media in order that you gain your space for the early bird discount. We'll be having a friend discount as well. So if you want to sign up with a friend, you know, of somebody that's maybe not aware of all these things that are going on, feel free to share it with them as well. Danielle, I'm going to spotlight you again. You're definitely moving over on the screen. You were on the right. And now you're moved somewhere else. Let me find you in order that I can spotlight you. All right. So Danielle, if you'd like to, end off with a couple of minutes, we went through until 11. Final tips, anything you maybe picked up in the breakout rooms you want to share?
Sure. So the breakout rooms that I popped into, there was good discussions. We got to answer a few questions about, so a couple of things. Do not add people to your email list without permission. You have to sort of get their permission to be able to add them, right? Whether that's emailing them personally saying, hey, would you like to be on my newsletter? You have to get the permission first. So that's just one thing. In terms of images, images will boost your conversion, but also probably ding your deliverability. So it's a very delicate balance. I recommend like 1 image per email at the most, and always make it clickable to wherever you're sending people. So that's just the 2 questions I answered in a nutshell. Which email program do you recommend? Any of them really work. MailChimp is free, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, like there's a ton of options. All of them will basically do what you need them to do for the most part. So it's just a matter of what you feel comfortable with in terms of interface and budget. I wanted to leave you with a few words, and while I do that, can we multitask? I would love for you to put your number 1 takeaway from the session into the chat. That helps me learn, that helps reinforce for everyone the key takeaways, and go ahead and do that while I share my screen and give you 3 final little tips to hack the creative cycle. Okay, so the first one we talked about, this is my rule number 1, just keep swimming. Asterisk it, stay in the flow. If a word or phrase doesn't come to you, give it 10 seconds, add an asterisk or 2 or 3, and keep going. Get your draft done, stay in the flow, and then come back. And then chances are you'll be able to actually fill in those blanks, right? Tip number 2, change scenery. Your outside reflects the inside. If you are staring at the same 4 walls, you're making it harder for new ideas to come. Get on a train, go to a coffee shop, go to a park, get outside, work in someone else's office or co-space or whatever. Chances are a change of scenery will actually help you focus and get more time done. Talking about time constraints, I actually love marinaratimer.com can let you use Pomodoro cycles, which are just sets of 25 minutes to get it done. Sometimes even just putting the button on the timer, starting the timer, gets me into this creative flow, right? So just a couple of thoughts to get us focused around this idea of creativity. And with that, I'm going to read through some of the takeaways and then we'll wrap. Block out the time in half-an-hour increments, set the time and have fun with the topic, right? If you take nothing away from this presentation, it's that we can have fun with email, we can tell stories that are fun, we can use metaphors that are fun, and making it fun will make it fun for people to want to hear from you. Inside out, yes, the feelings, using the template, start as you want to continue, sending value to people on a regular basis. Have in mind the feeling you want the reader to have, using emotion, importance of hooks and subject lines once a week. Limits are your friends. Yes, they are. Writing with the end in mind, keeping the flow and edit later. Feeling, just do it and notice sense of look and fun of it. If your audience is not converting, ask them what they want. This is actually something that came up in one of the breakout rooms. And this is a tool that you can use that I will just end with this, although there's of course so much more. If for some reason you don't know what's happening with your audience, you're not getting the results you want, ask. Send a very simple email, say, hey, I need your help with something. It'll take 2 minutes. I'd love to know, what is your number one challenge when it comes to blank, whatever it is you do. Hit reply and let me know, or send them to a really simple Google form. Feel free to write as much as you need to. I'll be reading every word. You will know then what people are struggling with. And a bonus piece of this is that the people that write back to you are also your hottest leads, right? Because they are coming to talk to you about the problem that you solve. So you can then reach out to them and be, hey, I'd love to have a deeper conversation about this. Would you be open? Okay, so that is, we've got 2 minutes left.
Excellent, great. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. The one thing, thank you.